Hi everyone, it's release day at Picket Fence Studios, and I have a light and airy birthday card featuring a beautiful new die set, Layering Flora Leaves and Twigs. It is accompanied by a couple of other gorgeous new products, A2 Pierce Blanket Covered Plate, and nesting ring dies. I began by preparing my cardstock for die cutting. Stress oxide inks are being applied to Bristol Smooth cardstock using life-changing blender brushes. I'm working with 3 different color combinations. Hickory Smoke will be blended with either Villainous Potion, Picked Raspberry, or Uncharted Mariner. Before die cutting, I do set the panels aside to dry for a while to avoid getting ink on the dies. There are many choices in the Layering Flora Leaves and Twigs die set. I'll be working with 2 of them in 2 different sizes. When the dies are positioned on the cardstock, the base of each of the leaves is in the gray area. The gray will give way to a pretty color gradient as it works towards the tip of the leaves. But before die cutting, I'm first going to stencil all of my pieces of cardstock with a fun new stencil called A Whole Lot of Polka Dots. This stencil is available in 3 different sizes, a slimline format, 6x6, and then the one that I'm using, which is 6x8. This is a super fabulous and versatile stencil, and it's going to add a touch of whimsy to all of my foliage. I'm using a mixed media spatula to apply Paper Glaze Arctic Fox. One of the many things that I love about the paper glazes is that they dry very quickly. I set them aside for about a half an hour and then do all of my die cutting. The second largest die in nesting ring die set is being used as the base for the wreath. I'm applying Tombow glue and setting it aside till it is dry and in its tacky state. This will provide some flexibility as I build the first layer of leaves around the ring. I'm starting with one of my largest leaves and then working between the colors. When Tombow glue is allowed to come to its tacky state, everything will be repositionable, giving me lots of time to figure out exactly how I want to place each of the leaves. After the base layer is put together, all the other layers will come together easily. The second layer will be made up of a smaller version of the same leaf. This time I'm going to work more on the inside of the wreath to make it nice and full. I alternate between the 3 color combinations as I position each one of the leaves. The light and airy fern style leaves will be tucked in around the outside of the wreath. I alternate between the 2 sizes and colors as I work my way around. Once I have these leaves positioned all the way around the wreath, I'll go back in and add just a few more to add some fullness. I want the wreath to have a little bit of dimension so that it sits up on the card base. I'm stacking on 3 more nesting ring die cuts. The wreath will be lifted just slightly off the card base to give the leaves a floating look. A final die cut will be positioned on top of the wreath, giving it some definition. White cardstock has been die cut with the A2 Pierce Blanket cover plate. The dotted diamond pattern adds a subtle and pretty effect to the background. Adhesive is applied to the ring die cut on the back of the wreath and it's positioned near the top of the card base. The die cut hug sentiment is from the nested rectangle set. It has been die cut 4 times and stacked. It is adhered to the center of the wreath. The secondary sentiment from Birthday Girl Dear is stamped with hybrid black ink on white cardstock. It is cut with a sentiment strip die from the nested rectangle set and stacked on 4 pieces of cardstock and added to the bottom right-hand corner of the card. And that completes this pretty light and airy birthday card. featuring Picket Fence Studios Layering Flora leaves and twigs dies on a background using A2 Pierce blanket cover plate. There are so many wonderful products in the December release. Be sure to check them out. I hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, I appreciate your visit.